Okay, so the other form that we need to create for Chapter 7 is what's known as a multi-page form. And we're going to accomplish this by using a built-in feature in Access called tabs. As with the reports, we're first going to need a dedicated query to support the form. It's going to be the record source for the form. So let's create the query. So we're going to do go to the Create tab, and we want to do a Select Query by Design. And so we're going to do a query design. And we're going to add the book rep table, the customer table, and the seminar offerings table to the query. And we're going to close this. And I'm going to expand these so I can see them all. Anything that's relevant. Okay. So, and the instructions for this actually begins on page AC 444. And so it tells you exactly what fields you need. So it tells us first that we want to use the book rep number from the book rep table. So I'm going to double click that. The customer number from the customer table. Okay, double click that. And the seminar code from the seminar offerings table. Okay, and then we're going to also use the hours spent from the seminar offerings table. Okay, and now we're going to create a field that, and we're going to call it remaining hours. Okay. So we're going to right click. As I said, instructions for this are on page, begin on page AC 444. Actually, I think this is on page AC 444. So we're going to create this by using the zoom feature. So I right click the blank field or the empty field to the right of hours spent, and we're going to choose zoom as the option to give us our zoom box. And we're very familiar with that. We've done that before. The alias for this field is going to be called hours remaining. So I put in the alias colon and the space, and now we're going to put in the formula, and the formula is going to be total hours minus hours spent. And as we said before, I'll put in a space, colon, open your bracket to put in your field, and it's total hours minus hours spent. And that's it. We're going to say OK. And we're going to save this as reps and seminar offerings. Reps and seminar offerings. And now let's just look at it and see what it looks like. And I'm going to auto fit these as I always do. They look fine. Okay, and we can close that. So we're going to use that query to support the next form. So now we want to create this multi-tab form. So let's go to Create, and we're going to choose the Form Design button. So we get the blank grid. It looks very similar. As I said, it has a detail section, but no page or header or footer, since this is not a report. We're going to make sure that this black square indicating is lit up, indicating that the whole form is selected. And we want to choose the record source for this particular form. The All tab is selected, and we're going to use the query we just created. So you want to go down and find reps and customers, the reps and customers query. Actually, we're going to use that for the subform. For this part of the form, we're going to use the book rep table. So we're going to use the book rep table as the record source. And I don't think we need to adjust any other properties at that time. So we're going to close the property sheet. And now we want to add some existing fields. And of course, it will be populated with all of the fields that are in the book rep table, since we chose that as the as the record source. So we're going to drag the book rep number over to about here, the top of the form. And I'm going to edit this label so it reads book rep number. Okay. And now we're going to select, we're going to create a text box field to concatenate the names. Remember that we did this in the last chapter, but we want to make sure that the book rep names appear with the first and last name together. So we're going to use a text box to create that, and we're going to put it about right here. And we'll make sure we kind of edit these so that they're the way they should be. And we're going to first put in the formula. So we're going to use the same concatenation formula, equal. Remember, formulas start out with the equal sign. And then open bracket for the first field, which is first name. Close bracket. Ampersand, indicating something's going to be attached to the end of it. Single quotation. Space bar, single quotation, ampersand, indicating something's attached to the front of it. And then the last field is open bracket and then last name and close bracket. And that is the formula for that. And now we need to edit the label, and actually we're going to just delete that label according to your instructions on page AC447. And now we want to, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger and drag it next to the book rep number. And that should be plenty big enough, I would think, for the first and last name. Okay, so that looks fine. And now we want to add some remaining fields to the form. And we're going to, first thing we're going to do is, we're going to close this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add these tabs. Remember I said this multi-page form is really represented in tabs. And so that's a very nice little feature that's in Access now that did not always, was not always there. So it is also a control feature, a control wizard attached to it. And the icon for tabs is right here. It's a tab control. So we're going to select that. And then we're going to add it to the grid about right here. And we're going to, first, we're just going to edit some properties on the tab, and then we'll edit the actual size of the entire sheet. So we're going to select that tab first in order to select just that page, and let's turn on the property sheet. And we want to change the name of the property to data sheet. Right now it says page 4. We're going to change that to data sheet. Okay, and then we're going to click the second tab and leave the property sheet open. And instead of page 4, page 5 is the name of that tab, we're going to name it Charts. Okay, and now we're going to close the property sheet for now. Of course, we'll be using it as we always do many times. And let's just save the form to get this started. And this is going to be called Rep Seminar Data. It's actually seminar data organized by the book rep. So, all right, so now we've got the makings of the form, and we are going to add a subform. But before we do that, we need to make this large enough, and this should be about 7 3/4 size. We're going to drag it out. It should be about 7 3/4 inches wide by 4.5 inches long. So I'm going to just drag this corner out until I get to 4.5 inches here. You see the bar over here. Actually, I'm going to take it to 5. And then I'm going to drag this out to 8. I'm going to make it 8 by 5. And you see the grid accommodates the size quite nicely. So I'm going to do that. And now we want to add a subform. And it's the same subform control that we use in sub-report. Actually, that button is for sub-reports and subforms. So we're going to use this. And we're going to first, let me make sure we're on the data sheet tab. We want to be on the data sheet tab. And then we're going to insert this subform. And we're going to put it about right up here in the corner. And the wizard is going to prompt. And that's what we want it to do. And we're going to use existing tables and queries. And then click the next button. And then the field we want to use, the item we want to use is the rep and seminar offerings query that we just created. So we just go down the list and find the query reps and seminar offerings. And there it is. And we want to add all fields to the selected field. So if we just click the add all fields button, we get add all fields, and then we click next. And we want to choose from a list. We're going to choose the item from a list and then click next. And then we're going to save this as seminar offerings for rep to finish the wizard. We're going to name this seminar offerings. And that's going to be the name of the subform. So we're going to finish that. And it created a form. You can see it in the page. It looks very similar to figure 7-64 on page AC450. And that part of it is done. But we need to modify this form. So let's modify the subform. So let's save the form first. As was the case with reports and subreports, you cannot edit a subreport inside the report. You have to first close the report and go back to the subreport. So the form works the same way. So we're going to close this rep seminar data form and then open the subform we just created called seminar offerings for rep, and we're going to open it in design view. Well, actually what we need to do, we can open it in data sheet view and form view. So we're just going to double click it to open it. And we don't need the book rep number because this is already organized. The rep seminar data, as you recall, has the book rep number as the key component at the top. And we selected book rep table as the record source for that form. So we don't need to have the book rep number in the subreport. That will be just redundant and unnecessary. So we're going to delete this field. And you could do this either in design view or this way, but I would not do it in design view. Just click the field and click delete, and it will delete, and the others will slide over quite nicely. For the customer number, we want to change the label here for customer number. We want to change the label to, let's see, I'm going to do this in, I'm going to do this in design view. I think we're going to do this in design view. Let me do this. I'm going to change this to design view. And I'm going to change this to customer number. Okay. And we're going to save it. And let me just look at it in view form, see how it looks. And I'm going to auto fit these columns. That's because that's just what I do. Alright, so we're going to auto fit the columns. It's sort of a standard procedure. You ought to do that anytime you make any changes, and then change that format, and you can change this subform. It's completed. Now we're going to open the rep seminar data form, and we're going to resize this subform. Actually, this should be in design view. We're going to resize this subform so it will accommodate all of the data that we need. So we're going to drag this out till it's just a little over the 6-inch mark, and we're going to leave it at the same depth, but about right here. Alright, so it's a little bit wider. That's the way we want it to look. So we drag that out, and we're also going to change the background color to this while it's highlighted. And we're going to click in the detail section, and we're going to make sure there's nothing selected, no control selected, just the detail section. And we want to go to the Format tab and choose the light gray background color. It's the one we use for the other form. And so, it's in the standard color, and it's light gray too. So that's the background we're going to use. And now we need to do some work to the Charts tab. So let's go to the Charts tab to insert the charts we need to do. And so you want to go to the Charts tab, and we want the chart tool. We want to go to Design, and we want the chart tool, and the chart tool just looks like a column chart. And so we're going to choose the chart tool, and we're going to place it about in the same location as we did with the other tab, and the wizard is going to open. And as the wizard opens, we're going to select Queries as the option. Here for the table, it asks which table or query would you like to use to create your chart. And so we're going to select Queries to narrow down the list, and then we're going to select the Reps and Seminar Offerings query to indicate it is the source for this for the charts. So we're going to choose that query and hit Next button. And then we want to select a couple of items. We want the seminar code. We're going to add that field. And we're going to also select the hours spent and add that field. And then we're just going to do Next. Those are the only two fields we're going to add at this time. And we want to use a pie chart. So we're just going to select that option right here. And it pops up right here that it's a pie chart. And then click the Next button. And it's going to take a few minutes to create the chart and refresh the screen, but just don't be impatient, just wait. I take a sip of tea while it's refreshing, and you see it has indicated the seminar code is here, and the sum of the hours spent is going to be here, and here are the two fields. That's exactly what we want. So let's do Next. And then we're not going to change any of the sorts or the chart fields, so we're just going to click Next. And we're going to save the name as the title for the chart as Hours Spent by Seminar Offering. So let's type that in. And then we're going to click the finish. Finish. We're going to keep the option to display the legend. Do not be shocked when you see east, west, north. That is fine, because that is just showing you the template of the chart. It is not showing you the actual chart. That chart will become active when we launch it, not in Design View, and it makes a connection to the query. So just hold on with that. And now we need to create another chart. We need to create a chart for hours remaining by seminar offering. So we're going to choose the chart button again, and we're going to put it a little bit about right here. And we're going to use the same query. And we're going to use the same fields, except that we're going to use, instead of hours spent, we're going to use hours remaining. So when you're going to use the seminar code and the hours remaining, pie chart, and as I said, it will take a few minutes to refresh. Not quite as long this time. And then next, and we're not going to change any of these fields. And we're going to change this name to hours remaining by seminar offering. So let me just edit this title. I'm going to do hours remaining by seminar offering. Get rid of this S on the end. And we want it to display a legend, and we finish. And again, it looks like it's east, west, north. Just ignore that. That's just a holder for the template. And so this is done. And we're going to save the form. And now let's close the form and launch it and look at it. You have to close it first to get it to work. Alright, so there's your field. But this is not showing as auto fit, even though I think we set it to be auto fit. I'm going to close this right now, close this form, and go back and look at my seminar offerings for rep to make sure I auto fit those columns, the subform. So seminar offerings for rep, let me take a look. Oh, I did not auto fit it. Let me auto fit those and save that change. And now let's open the seminar rep data form again. That looks much better. You see now that the fields are filled in just as they should be. And now let's look at the chart. And the charts look exactly the way they should look. But we want to change the chart. We want to modify the chart a little bit. So we're going to go into Design View. So we're just going to go to Design View. And these changes to modify the chart actually begin on page 456. So we're going to change the chart. So let's go to the Charts tab. And we're going to right-click the hours spent by seminar offering chart to get our shortcut menu. And we're going to go to Chart Object. Let me see. Oh, I didn't select it. All right, it's selected. Now right-click and go to Chart Object. And then we want to edit it. And you see it opens up some data that has no relevance at all to the data we had. Just don't worry about that. Again, it's going to make the connection with the query that you chose. But the main thing we want to do now is we want to change the chart type. And so we just want to right click while this is highlighted and change this to chart type. And we're going to change this. It's going to be a subtype of the 3D chart, and we want it to be a 3D chart. I mean, it's going to be a subchart of the pie chart. We want a 3D chart, and it is it's the middle item in the first row. And it says it's a pie with a 3D visual effect. That's what we want. And we just do OK and click anywhere outside of that to deselect it. And now we're going to do the same thing here. Right click, choose Chart Object, Edit. Don't worry about that data that pops up. Right click, choose Chart Type. We want this pie chart. OK. And click outside of it, and now we have the two charts. And we're going to right click and hold the hours spent by seminar offering, and we want the shortcut menu. We're going to go to Chart Object again, and we're going to choose Edit. And this time we're going to edit the legend. So we want to right click and choose oh, I didn't highlight it. we want to format the legend. And we want to make the placement. We're going to change the placement of that legend. Right now, the default for the placement is for it to be to the right-hand side. We want it to appear at the bottom. So we just click bottom and OK, and it's going to move the legend. And we're also, since we got this open, we're going to add some percentages to this chart. So we're going to right click and hold the pie chart to get a shortcut menu again, and we want to format we're going to go to chart options. Wait a minute, let me go back here. We should be getting format. Oh, format. I didn't click on the pie itself. You see, click on the item itself and it will bring up the data, and we want to format the data series. Alright, so we want to format the data series, and we want to go to data labels, and we want to choose percentage. So we want to make sure it has a percentage and that there's a leader line that connects the actual piece of pie to the percentage measurements. So that's what we want to do, and we want to click OK. And so now you see those percentages have appeared. And we're going to do the same thing to this chart. So let's go over here. And we want to chart object and edit. And then we're going to select the legend. Choose format legend, placement, bottom, and OK. Now we want to choose the data. Right click, format data series, data labels, percentage, show leader lines, OK. And now select anywhere to see the others. And this looks like east, north, west, but this field is not active. You have to look at it actually in form view. So this form is finished, and I think that's it. This takes you through page AC460. But the form should look similar to the one on page, I think it's AC412, but let me look. It is AC412, so it should look very similar to it. Let me close this and let's look at it in form view. Let me save the changes first. And now let's open this form. And there's the data sheet. And this is the data sheet. And as we advance through the form, you can see it's still populating some things. It's updating the charts. That's what's taking so long. And all right, so it's finished. And now it says there's one record of 4. There's only 4 book reps. And so you can go through and cycle through. So there's no data sheet for Michael Statnick. There's some information for Robert Chen, and then there's stuff for Tracy Rogers. So now let's look at the charts. And you see you can cycle back through. We're going to go back through all the way till we get to number 1. When we get to record 2, there shouldn't be anything because there was no data for Michael Statnick. And then, so you see it doesn't show north, east, north, and south, or west, or whatever it was. It shows the real data. Okay, so this is fine, and that's all there is to this one. Okay, thanks.